Is indifference the cruelest form of judgment a fan base can deliver? That's exactly what the New York Yankees are facing right now after bringing back Cody Bellinger on what should be celebrated as a masterclass negotiation. According to Bob Klapish's scathing analysis, the collective response from Yankees fans can be summed up in 3 devastating words. Yeah, sure, whatever. Not excitement, not celebration, just apathy. And honestly, that might hurt worse than any boo ever could. This is what happens when you go ringless. Since 2009, even brilliant moves get met with shoulder shrugs and eye rolls. The Yankees just convinced Bellinger to return on a 5-year, $162.5 million deal. After he explicitly told them he wanted out, they body-slammed super agent Scott Boras in negotiations, and they kept a multi-talented slugger who actually loved wearing pinstripes. But none of that matters to a fan base that's watched 16 years of October disappointments pile up, like unpaid parking tickets. Klapish received a text from Paul Solodorov, his co-author on the 2019 bestseller Inside the Empire, that perfectly captured the mood. How do you think 99 is feeling about this offseason? Translation: Aaron Judge is 34 in April, hasn't won anything, and is watching his prime years evaporate like Mike Trout's did in Anaheim. That's the elephant in the room nobody wants to acknowledge. Judge keeps flashing that coast-to-coast smile every spring, promising a mental reset, but as Klapish notes, no one's amnesia is that strong. The captain is human, and humans remember pain. They remember getting embarrassed by the Dodgers in the World Series. They remember watching Juan Soto, the guy they thought was their missing piece, bolt to Queens for $765 million. And now they're supposed to get excited about running it back with largely the same roster? But here's where the narrative gets interesting and where Klapish makes a compelling counterargument that Yankees fans need to hear. This team is actually better positioned than last year's squad that won more games than any other American League team. Think about that for a second. Despite losing Gerrit Cole for half the season, despite leaning on washed versions of Marcus Stroman and Carlos Carrasco, despite convincing themselves DJ LeMahieu could somehow channel his 2020-21 form, the Yankees still dominated the regular season. Now project forward. Cole returns before July. Cam Schlittler makes 30 starts instead of 14. Carlos Rodon and Clark Schmidt both return from injury, and Ryan Weathers, who throws nearly 100 miles per hour, replaces Carrasco. Those aren't minor upgrades. Those are foundational improvements that address last year's biggest weaknesses. The Bellinger deal itself deserves way more credit than it's receiving, because what Hal Steinbrenner pulled off was nothing short of a negotiating clinic. Scott Boras is arguably the most powerful agent in sports, the man who just secured $765 million for Soto and has made billionaire owners bend the knee for decades. But Steinbrenner stood firm. He made an offer he believed was fair, refused to budge, and essentially told Boras, "This is it. Take it or leave it." And Boras blinked. Bellinger took the deal because Steinbrenner was right. It was the best offer on the table. That's old-school Steinbrenner energy, the kind of ruthless business acumen that made the Yankees a dynasty in the first place. One major league executive told Klapish, "The Yankees never back up the truck, which is why they're so good every year." How many teams do you see panicking when they lose and start making bad roster decisions? Hal doesn't work like that. Compare that approach to what's happening across town with the Mets, and the contrast is striking. Steve Cohen has had a chaotic winter. Signing Bo Bichette, trading for Freddie Peralta and Luis Robert Jr., losing Kyle Tucker, watching Edwin Diaz struggle, and still trying to figure out the Pete Alonso situation. It's been a roller coaster that has Mets fans oscillating between despair and delirium on a daily basis. One executive not affiliated with the Yankees told Klapish that Cohen appears to be making roster moves based on what he's hearing on WFAN sports radio. That's a dangerous game to play. When you make moves just to keep fans happy, the exec said, that's not a long-term plan. It's reactive rather than strategic, emotional rather than calculated. The Yankees, by contrast, have maintained their composure. They didn't panic after getting demolished by the Dodgers. They didn't blow up the roster. They made targeted improvements and trusted their process. The Vegas oddsmakers seem to agree with this assessment. Despite all the hand-wringing from fans, the Yankees are currently installed as favorites to win the American League pennant. The Mets, after their frenetic winter, sit at 14-1 odds alongside the Blue Jays and Phillies, respectable but not dominant. And then there's the Dodgers, who are the biggest World Series favorites entering a season since the 2003 Yankees. We all remember how that dream ended in the Bronx. By the way, Aaron Boone, Game 7, Yankee Stadium, collective trauma. But here's the thing about being the overwhelming favorite. It creates its own pressure. The Dodgers have to win now. Anything less than a championship is a failure. The Yankees, meanwhile, can play the underdog card despite having one of baseball's best rosters. The rotation situation is genuinely better than it looks on paper. Max Fried is a legitimate ace who gives them a left-handed presence they've lacked. Luis Gil showed flashes of brilliance last year and could take a significant step forward. Schlittler is the real deal, a young arm with electric stuff who's ready for a full season workload. When Cole returns mid-season, suddenly you have a 1-2 punch that can match up with anyone. Rodon and Schmidt provide depth and experience. Even the bullpen, which was a disaster at times last year, should benefit from having healthier arms and clearer roles. The offense? Judge, Bellinger, Giancarlo Stanton when healthy, Anthony Volpe continuing his development, and a supporting cast that can manufacture runs. This isn't a team that needs to score 10 runs a game to win, they just need to be consistent and clutch. So, where does this leave the Yankees as we approach spring training? They're in a fascinating position, simultaneously underrated by their own fan base and respected by the rest of baseball. The apathy from fans is real, but it's also potentially motivating. There's nothing quite like playing with a chip on your shoulder, and this team has plenty of reasons to feel disrespected. Judge, in particular, has to be feeling the urgency. At 34, he doesn't have many prime years left. The Mike Trout comparison is haunting, another generational talent who never won a ring because his team couldn't build around him properly. But the Yankees have built around Judge. They've given him weapons, depth, and a legitimate chance to compete. Now it's on him and his teammates to deliver. Klapisch makes a crucial point about Judge's influence that often gets overlooked. His unbreakable can-do attitude sets the tone for the entire clubhouse. That positivity, that refusal to dwell on past failures, likely played a significant role in Bellinger's decision to return. Players want to play with guys like Judge. They want to be part of something special. And despite the fan apathy, despite the 16-year championship drought, there's still something undeniably special about wearing pinstripes. Bellinger felt it. He could have chased more money elsewhere or joined a team with less pressure, but he chose to come back to the Bronx. That says something about the culture Cashman and Steinbrenner have built. The real test comes in October. Regular season success means nothing if you can't win when it matters most. The Yankees know this better than anyone. They've been the best regular season team multiple times in the past decade and have nothing to show for it. But this year feels different. Not because they made splashy moves or overhauled the roster, but because they've addressed their weaknesses methodically and maintained their core identity. They're deeper, healthier, and more balanced than last year's team. If the pitching holds up, if Judge stays healthy, if Bellinger produces like he's capable of, this team can absolutely win a championship. The question is whether Yankees fans will allow themselves to believe again, or if the scars from 16 years of disappointment run too deep. The "yeah, sure, whatever" attitude might be a defense mechanism, a way to protect themselves from inevitable heartbreak. But baseball has a way of surprising us. The best stories often come from the most unexpected places. Maybe, just maybe, this Yankees team that nobody's excited about will be the one that finally breaks through. What do you think? Are the Yankees being unfairly dismissed, or is the fan apathy justified after so many failed Octobers? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you think this team has what it takes to shock the world, hit that like button, and let's start building some positive energy heading into spring training. The Bronx might not be buzzing yet, But championship runs have started with less fanfare before.